Hi Rob, how are you? You good? I'm just gonna sit and chill. I'm okay. This is my third stream doing this for Crystal, and yeah, I get anxious as hell. I don't know why. I think it's more with this one because I've not played it in a while, so I need to see if I can do my section in enough time. Fingers crossed, pray for me. Ugh. I hope so. I really hope so. And I just realised my water bottle's actually in the way of the actual screen, so I can't see. Because someone put an Xbox controller in the way. Oh, hi Feral Female. Hope you're well. Hi Uncharted. How are you? Oh, thank you for the host, Uncharted. Thank you. See how I get on. I've not played it in forever. I did the beginning bit like quite quickly the other day, so we'll just see how I get on. But yeah. Thank you for the host, Jay. Trying to drink my tea and stay calm. I'm playing up to the bunker just before Lara has to head up to the radio tower. So I'm hoping I can get that done in like an hour and a half. I've got my time slot, so I have to make sure I can get there in that time. So I'll see how I get on. So yeah, I've not played this like all the way through since before Bubs was born. I played it for my channel. That was like over 3 years ago now. I was pregnant with Bubs at the time, so. Are you getting breakfast? Nice. What's for breakfast? I had a cheese omelette this morning, like I do every morning at the moment. I just got to wait for the raid. Steve hopefully is joining soon, so he'll be in chat as well. So let's just see. Hang on. It's not letting him. Hang on. Oh. 1 second.
Oh goodness!
I can't. You can't come to me, so I'll come to you because you guys are useless.
What? I'm just sick and I'm trying to help.
Well, I'm joining you lot. Like, feel free to tag it.
Alright, let's go. Let's go, man.
So you're live, guys. Say hi.
Oh,
There you go. I moved you, Lara, because you're useless too.
Oh, fuck you.
Now, while you're talking,
It already starts.
I'm gonna retaliate. Hi, lovely. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
As you can tell by my voice, I'm a little bit sick, but I'm alright.
Oh,
really?
just
You sound kind of Irish.
Really?
Yeah. How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna cough a lot, so I will mute every time. I'll try to think about it, but yeah. You know how I don't smoke, yeah? I felt like I've smoked like my entire life.
Well, maybe Hetty, you should just not talk then.
Fuck you! Wow! I literally the one's here.
Oh, he's like, I am so ill. Please pity me. Where?
Don't make me crack out Camilla to give you a put down.
Oh
no! Oh dear! Oh god!
Oh,
he's got the black lung.
Hedy. Have a lozenge. Take a lemsip, Hedy. I really need a lemsip, Jonah.
I By the way, you were streaming, but you're not streaming anymore, Lara. I don't know if it's normal.
Is it not streaming?
Like, on Discord, I mean.
Hang on.
Like, yeah, you shared your screen and then it's not doing it anymore. I don't know if it's intended.
Is it doing it now? I don't know what happened there.
Everything.
I mean, at least I noticed it, so you're welcome.
Gotta get that paycheck somehow, hey?
I wish you paid me.
Maybe they can pay you in throat sweets.
Honestly, I would really use one right now. I need to wait another hour before I can take any more of my cough syrup.
Oh.
Oh, bless.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. I'll live!
I hate you guys so much sometimes.
He goes all squeaky because he can't manage it.
It's like that dude from The Simpsons who's like, oh, Mr. Weed, it's happening again.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be bullied for 12 hours. I hate it.
Hey, Hetty.
What's up?
Say, do you want fries with that?
What fries with that?
Thank you.
Thank you for the subscription, Raider Mama.
Wait, am I gonna be recorded and used as an emote for Twitch? I fucking love it.
I do as a soundbite. Oh,
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
This is gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Should be
I
fun.
can tell this stream is gonna be great.
Yeah, we'll see how long it takes me. Because I was like,
It's okay.
I looked through like a playthrough.
I can guide you.
Yeah, we're all here. Don't worry.
No, I looked through a playthrough. I was like, right, hour and a half. That's a decent amount of time, and they get to there, and then I was like, shit. I don't think that's like they've obviously skipped a few things. Oh bollocks.
Nah,
You'll
you
be
got
fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yes, we are having a party, Raider Mama. Steve's already drunk.
What?
He's always.
I'm sorry.
He's on the 5th gin. He started at 7 o'clock this morning.
That is a false accusation, and I take offence. It's actually 2 gins and
Okay.
two beers. Mummy has a free weekend, so let Mummy enjoy it.
Mummy's letting her hair down, darling. Don't judge.
Mummy doesn't have to do the school run today, so let Mummy enjoy it. Let Mummy enjoy her Prosecco, god damn it.
I love it.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I'm on the tea because I want to stay as sober as possible right now.
Oh, that's understandable.
Yes.
Jesus. As I said, I literally ran out of coffee. My cough is horrible. My voice is half Irish, but I'm so fucking ready for it.
It is, because some of the syllables use it as like kind of hello, how are you? It's just kind of like the northern.
I think that's
Northern
just
Irish.
that's
accent.
just how Hetty talks. I don't think that's anything to do with the cold.
Honestly, that's
Well, I
both,
didn't
that's
want
both.
to say. I didn't want to assume.
Well, listen,
there?
you have to get in mind that I'm not native. That's actually really fucking impressive. I can speak English sometimes.
Yeah, we can't judge. He speaks better English than we do French. So.
No.
Yeah, suck it up, buttercups.
Well, he's got us beat there. I guess I've got to go home now.
Oh. Apparently they're still chatting.
They are. I've got them open.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Shut up.
How dare you?
Talking into my airtime. Oh my god.
This is all I need. Very fuzzy feed.
Is it really bad?
Oh no, it's fine. It's like 480p. That's all I need.
Oh, okay. I just
It's
didn't want it
fine.
to mess with the mainstream, so you guys aren't the priority, I'm afraid. Sorry.
No. It's fine. We know.
As long
our
as you
place.
can
It's
tell
good.
roughly where it is.
All
Yeah.
I'm saying is, look who's got the update that got pulled recently.
Oh god, no.
No comment.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ, we had to go that way, huh?
Hi,
It's fine,
Athena
she's
Raid.
doing
I
a
hope
new
you're
save,
well.
It will be fine. It's not an existing save that she's loading from.
Yeah,
Therefore
I'm
it won't
fine.
take-
I haven't. I've not played this this version of the game, so I
Ever.
normally play on PlayStation. So I haven't played this. No, I haven't played this game since I was pregnant with Bubs.
Oh
That's
wow,
how long ago it was.
crikey.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So I had pregnancy brain when I was playing it, and now I have mum brain. So that's how bad it's gonna be.
Mama brain.
So
Mother Brain was a character in Metroid, if I remember rightly.
probably. I'm good, thanks, Athena. Yeah, just hyped about doing the stream. Should be fun.
Was that Rachel?
No, not Athena.
Who am I thinking?
I know Athena from Twitter. Yeah, I know who you mean, the cosplayer, Rachel.
Yeah.
No, that's not Athena. That's Athora. That's her name.
Athora, that's it.
Got there eventually.
Yeah, no, right, I need another drink.
Yeah, I also have the extra challenge that obviously they never fix the fact that if you plug in a PlayStation controller for the PC version, it still comes up with the Xbox buttons. Hence, I have an Xbox controller in front of me to try and remember the buttons just in case I get confused.
Oh god, Lord. We can't blame you, you have mum brain. So.
I know, I have severe mum brain, seriously. Hopefully, like, my sort of Tomb Raider mode will just sort of kick in and I'll just know what I'm doing. Because I played the beginning part the other day, fine. Like, I just knew the buttons, I didn't have to look at, like, the, what's the word? Hints or whatever. Yeah. But when it came to the quick time events, that's when...
will just take over at some point.
I think the only time I might fuck up will be the quick time events. Because I'll panic, and then I'll be like, what button?
That's why I happened. I played this game on PC, because I'd not played with this game with the mouse and keyboard before, and quick time events came up, and I kept on having to watch that awkward, like, sexual assault scene, where I'm just kind of like, oh, where's F on my keyboard? Oh, fuck, there it is. Okay.
This is awkward. Oh, no.
And you're like, oh, wait, I'm already loading back to the game, because I already died, like, 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't give you enough time to react to, just kind of, like, reacting to what's happening on screen. It's like, oh, well, I'm just dead. 2 friends online. Hold on, let me make that 3, Laurie. Let me give you a friend. Wait, no. Wait, do I even have Laurie on my... We don't have each other.
To be fair, I'm playing on Jay's Steam account, so that would be why I'm not showing up.
I have Jay and holy shit!
My God, Hedy, where have you been?
Where have I been? They never invited me because they hate me. That's
It's a very exclusive club, Hedy. Don't judge. Wow. Don't feel too bad.
I'm literally their son's uncle, and it's not good enough. Wow.
Twice removed.
I hope you feel better, Raider Mama. So everyone's sick at the moment.
Everybody have bugs.
Everybody ill.
It's because of Ocean. I blame Ocean. I love Ocean, but seriously though, we all get sick during fall.
Oh, Hedy.
Oh, Hedy.
Oh, Hedy. What are we to do with you?
Like, seriously, as soon as you said, oh, Hedy, I had to mute myself because I had a laughing cough and you guys didn't hear it. So you're welcome.
Oh, thanks for that. You're so good to us.
I'll destroy your ears next time, don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, nice, thanks.
Lovely. I loved it. Can you say my name next time you do it, please?
I'm glad it's not smell-o-vision.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Well, you know, Sarah's gone away.
Well, she has. She's gone to London to go shopping at a Christmas market. And what am I doing? I'm
drinking in front of the PC.
with a pink gin and tonic. And,
living your best life.
Oh fuck yeah, I am. I am.
I mean, he's drinking whiskey at 3:21, so I'm pretty sure he's doing great.
I'm doing better than Hedy. I need a lemsip / a throat sweet.
Yes.
I need all the drugs, please, to cure my black lung.
All the pharmaceuticals, please.
Not the drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs, kids, except for the ones that actually help you.
Yeah, apart from the ones that actually help.
Yeah.
Laurie is streaming and Steve is drunk. It's like...
You haven't seen anything yet, Raider Mama.
This is why they're not letting him stream till tomorrow.
What do you mean not letting me? They didn't fucking tell me until last week.
So it'll be a very hungover survivor mode
When's
tomorrow.
It gonna happen? Fuck knows. I have no idea. Just roll the dice. Let's ask the magic 8 ball. I mean, Hedy. Just shake the heady, and then a random answer will come out.
Okay, just because I'm small, I see how it is. Jesus Christ.
No, it's because you have the number 8 tattooed on your head, and then when you shake it, you...
What? Wait, even I didn't know that. Holy shit.
I'm sorry to be the first one to break it to you.
Like, I love how we never even met, and you just know that for me. That's amazing.
I have a sixth sense, you know, and sometimes it pays off. Most of the time it doesn't.
Yeah, it's called alcohol, and you're hallucinating. Hello, hi.
No.
Yeah, well, sure, whatever.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, Minga.
I can't. Just wanted to check.
They're still talking.
I know. Oh my gosh! Shut up, guys.
Oh my god.
They're still going on, and none of the words they're saying involves we're
Really?
remastering the games.
Oh my god.
Steve is gonna be just like spilling all the
They're
tea
doing
today.
Q&A, to be honest. Like, people are
They
asking
are,
questions.
The
yeah.
the more gin that Steve drinks, the more tea will be spilled.
I mean, if it gets you more
Are you
bits.
ready for the raid, Laurie? She's asking.
Sorry, what? Luz?
Loz, what?
Listen,
Lozenges, eh?
Lozzie's my best friend.
Lozzie,
and
do not call me Lozzie, seriously. If you don't want me
Sorry,
calling you
relax,
Headwood,
stop it.
then do not call me Lozzie.
It was my
Headwood?
best friend's name.
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't even think to call you that. That's an amazing name.
You know what? I just answered to Neha for you because I was like, "Are you ready?"
I am ready.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready.
We're ready.
Why I'm saying we.
Yeah, excuse me, Steve.
Oh,
Sorry.
God,
Who's the star of the show?
You are, darling. You are.
I am.
You are.
I know.
I fucking am.
Yeah, get it right. Seriously.
Hey, you change the nappies tonight. Mummy's streaming.
Did donation work, Jay? I didn't see it. Sorry.
I'm about to raid you, so
Excellent.
act natural, everyone.
Act natural.
I
Act
mean, you kind of have been. What you're trying to say is, don't act natural. Act
Yeah,
professional.
more natural, basically.
So it came up as a notification that you've donated, Jay, on my feed, but I don't know if it comes up in the chat.
Hey, check out my YouTube channel.
Self-plugging like a moron. Oh my god.
Yeah, because
You're
you
just
don't
jealous.
do it.
Yeah, exactly. Ah.
Don't throw stones in
Hello.
glass houses,
Hello
darling.
there, Brian Horton.
Brian
Oh,
Horton?
Can you guys
Hello
hear me?
there.
Or
Hey, yeah, we can hear you.
who's
How the
all
de-
on the line?
How the
Yeah.
devil are you, good sir?
Doing very well. I'm excited to celebrate this game I love very dearly.
Nice.
Yay,
Excellent.
it's
Yay,
amazing.
awesome.
Neha will join us very soon, by
And
the
here
way.
comes the
They just
raid.
raided.
There you go.
Here comes the
Hi
raid.
guys. Hello everyone. How are
It's
you?
the
Party up in here.
Yes.
Welcome everyone.
Hello there.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey.
A wild Neha has appeared.
Here. And hi, Brian. It's nice to meet you.
Hey.
Anyway,
Long time no speak.
it
I
has
don't think
been
I don't think I've ever met Brian.
I have.
That is quite the flex. I have
It's
seen.
just the instant.
I took him on a tour around the British Museum.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm sure it was. I've yet to receive that treatment, Laurie.
Well, we have offered, you know, but you keep standing us up, so so don't start.
Sorry, Mum.
Sorry.
Right. Yeah, on that note. Well, thank you for the follow, Oprah LC, Flora Cherry, and Fantasy Baby. And thank you for the host, Mr. Grant. And thank you for the raid, obviously, Crystal. So shall we get started?
Yes.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yes,
I really need a
mother.
Starbucks, Hunter.
Hello, everyone. Yes.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
Jason!
I'm good.
Are
how
we
you?
all incredible, right?
We are all
Excited
Yeah,
for a
we are.
fun day.
excited. I have that cup.
Literally.
All I'm saying is, Laurie, if you don't make a shirt on your store that says "Hi, how are you?" then I am going to be very disappointed.
Honestly,
I need to add it.
Offended.
All right.
I am wearing my TR2013 top today, but obviously no one can see it. I am wearing it. I promise.
Wearing it in spirit.
I am.
I've got my Natla Technologies t-shirt on today.
Yes.
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 Because I've discovered a shop that sells stuff like that, which is awesome. I can't remember the name, but I will shout it out when I remember it.
And this is the best intro to a game. It's so dramatic. I love it.
This trailer, when it was first released, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
I do remember thinking
Yeah.
she is gorgeous. I
Yeah,
loved her design.
She truly
She
is.
still is. She still is.
Visual Works did such
Mm-hmm.
they did such an amazing job.
Yes.
Our partners in Japan, and they really helped inspire and kick off the whole tone of the game. They were big important partners with us. And it
I
was
do
fun.
love this shot. This shot is
Yes.
amazing. This shot is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
It's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah. No matter what you feel about the games, this shot is iconic,
Yes.
honestly. Oops.
See?
What? And then she becomes the Tomb Raider.
And then.
We do have to find Fifi the Crab, though. Wherever she is.
I think
Yes.
that'll be on Jill's stream, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
That
think
far
Jill's
ahead?
doing the beach, yeah.
Yeah, it's Shipwreck Beach, I think.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. It does kind of always make me chuckle at this particular bit where she's just literally within earshot of these people who are on the ship. And she's just yelling, and for some reason they can't hear her.
They're just literally there on purpose. Like, oh yeah, we can leave Lara behind just now.
So they all kind of like passive-aggressively just don't like her and just kind of ignore her.
Yeah, just like we ignore her, she'll just go away.
Yeah, she was weird.
Do you hear that? What's that weird noise you're hearing there? Oh, I don't know. It must be the wind.
I say that's where we need Elle to just pop in the stream and go, oh hi.
Yeah.
Jonah!
Yeah, exactly. I really
Is
need
that
a
yes?
Starbucks.
Anybody called
Jonah.
me?
Someone called.
The Tomb Raider drinking game, anytime Lara shouts, Jonah!
You'll be very, very drunk.
Honestly, for this particular game, I think you'll be alright. I think she shouts Sam more than she shouts
Yes.
Jonah in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Although to be fair, like Steve's already drunk, so he's got a head start
I
anyway.
am not. I am not.
I'm not!
I resent that statement,
That's what you
good
tell
lady.
us, but we believe that we know the truth, Steve.
Alright there, Captain Lemsip. Call me when your throat's better.
Oh, okay, you're going that route, huh?
Sometimes great. Oh, there we go.
Here we
Hello,
go.
mate. Hello, Megan.
Hello, Megan.
Megan, hi!
Oh no, is she having her Discord troubles again?
Maybe.
Are we gonna start hearing the scrolling again?
Megan. Yes, exactly. Scroll the wheel.
Well, we were just using Zoom before, so I don't know if that makes it so that she's
If Zoom is still open, it might create issues indeed.
I wish Brian knew about the Megan scrolling mouse meme.
Oh, it is iconic.
Look at this stage.
Oh, come
Honestly,
on.
It is so iconic.
I wonder if her mouse had been scrolling loud for that many years that it was a thing even back then.
Like in all the Zoom meetings that she's been having with people at work, she's just, all they've taken from it is just like that's just a weird scraping noise.
Scrolling.
It just keeps
We're
constantly-
doing to Megan right now what Reyes and Jonah just did to Lara on the beach. What? Do you hear that?
Yeah, I don't hear. All I hear is scrolling. I don't hear anything.
Megan is Lara in this situation.
Poor Megan, just getting bullied and she
Megan.
can't even defend herself.
Guys, I'm here!
Oh, no! No microphone, no headphones. It got real.
She's trying. Megan, just
This
try
scene
to
is
restart.
actually a visual representation of Megan working on audio.
That's why she's a community director, not audio director. It's okay.
Got a bit of a
hopefully it's
splinter.
less painful than
Press
Lara
X
doesn't
to
want to
unsheath yourself. There we go.
Ah, there we go. It's just a flesh wound, it's fine.
Tis but a scratch.
Got red on you.
Bones them dry.
Pull the liver. Yeah, Miss
Sorry,
Croft.
apparently you might want to turn your mic a little bit down according to Tyranite.
Ah, okay, I know. How's that? Does that make any difference whatsoever? I don't want to
I mean,
click out
don't
the
ask
game.
us. We can all hear you the exact same volume.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
R.I.P. Steph.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Poor
poor
Steph.
Steph, she never got a chance to be part of the story in the end.
She lived on in multiplayer. She got her moment.
Okay, true.
She will live on in our hearts.
Whoever you were.
No Winston impression again.
Now we can have a Winston cameo in the stream.
Miss Croft, I heard you need a Starbucks.
No.
Oh, I think I know why. Wait, hold on.
Oh, hey, hang on. Megan! Are you there? Scroll once for yes.
Wait, I see her username.
She lit up for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Megan.
You guys can hear me now?
Yeah!
It isn't working, so I guess I'm just. Can you hear me okay?
Yep,
Yeah.
all good.
Loud and clear.
Loud and
Okay,
clear,
well,
yeah.
then I'm just not going to wear headphones. I don't know why that wasn't working, but it is what it is. I'll just make sure
Megan.
my.
Megan,
There
I
we go.
miss you so much.
I miss you too! This is so exciting! How is everything going over at Insomniac? Looks amazing.
So everything's going great.
Awesome.
That's all he can say.
Brian, you
Well,
don't know me,
really
but I miss you
exciting.
too.
I mean, I
Wow.
also don't know you, Brian, but also at the same time, Rift Apart was fucking amazing.
Oh, thanks. A lot of great work went into that game. I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, fuck!
Well, still, it's a compliment to the team, right?
No, it's great. Everything Insomniac does, it's great. But yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, it's awesome to have you here. and
Okay.
kinda
How far back
get-
do I have to go? Spyro 2, Gateway to Glimmer was good.
How long have you been in Insomniac now?
Oh, it's been a while. I think it's been 4 years this January.
Wow,
But
that's
I'm here to
gone
talk about
quick.
Tomb Raider.
Yes, yeah. So, so now you were art director on 2013, correct? And then game
Yes.
director on Rise. So, yeah, is there any? I know at one point in time you actually streamed the entirety of TR 2013 on your own one weekend, and were providing some interesting commentary and so on. So we'd love to hear anything as we go along, any sort of insider information or so on. We've been sharing a lot of really fun behind the scenes stuff all month, including early demos where like the button prompts had Tim Longo's face on them, which was hilarious.
Yes. I mean,
I
this level really is the beginning of what this game was going to be. It took some time and iteration to get here, but it set the tone for the whole franchise moving forward. So Chris Sturgill was head of the group that made it. Daryl was a huge part of this. Daryl Gallagher to sort of to really help us focus on crafting this experience. And it was just a lot of fun to bring this particular sequence to life and really set the stage for the rebirth of Lara Croft. I mean, that's what this really was, metaphorically. It was a new take on this iconic character.
Yeah. So early on, you were responsible for helping establish what her new visual identity would be, right? So I know you've said this so many times in the past, but I suppose it's been a few years. So can you run people listening through kind of the iconic traits and the process of ensuring that it still felt like Lara? And we actually showed a couple of things with some of the models that you worked with recently. So you want to chat a little bit about that?
First, you can't speak about Lara's design without talking about Brennick Adams. I mean, he was on the project before I joined, and he did a lot of the early takes on Lara and her redesign. And what came through in those early drawings was just how much more grounded she was and how much more relatable. And that was the beginning of the focus. Like, how do we bring her to a place where she's recognizable with iconic ingredients like the iconic shape of her lips and the ponytail.
Too eager, sorry.
Someone is failing these QTEs.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm playing
Is this
on a
accidentally
PlayStation
on purpose,
controller.
Laurie? Who's drunk now, Laurie?
Oh, shush.
These were
I'm just too
terrifying.
eager. That's why.
But yeah, to finish the story, I mean, really, it was just a matter of us finding what we wanted to retain to make it recognizable for Lara, and that is a left and right in a vigorous motion.
It's the Y button. It's failing me.
I think
Why?
Isn't it
Why? Just Y.
Isn't it
It's triangle, yeah.
Hang
But it's
on,
left
hang
and
on,
right
hang on.
first. Left and right, left and
Yeah,
right, left
yeah.
and right, left and right, left and right.
triangle.
And then
There we go,
triangle.
yeah.
Right. Yay.
She passed the basic QTE of the game.
Shut up, Steve.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah, I actually still remember. So when I first saw this demo, I was actually a Game Informer, and I remember that
Right,
I
yeah.
was boss was quitting if he didn't let me take this cover story, and then I ended up leaving, which I'm sure he wasn't too happy about at the time. But I remember people watching my face during this scene. Like, nobody was watching the TV. They were all watching me for reactions, and I remember gasping, like audibly, my jaw dropped when she like fell out of, you know, and the bar went through her side and so on, and it really just set the tone for the game moving forward. It was like, okay, this is not just, you know, this is a very different take on Tomb Raider, and this, you know, super grounded take. Yeah, it was a memory I will never forget.
Your story was pivotal too. You know, you're the first person, and the Game Informer crew was the first people outside of the company who'd ever seen the game, so we were incredibly nervous. I mean, we had made a lot of big changes, so to see your reaction, to read your story, and see the reaction to that cover story from the public was it just gave us a lot of confidence to move forward and finish up strong.
Side note, I love this shot.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
It's
I love
such a
this
great
song.
element. I love it.
Such a great way to start this game. Honestly, it really is.
Thanks. I mean,
You know, the
team-
interesting. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the team just put so much into this game. You can't even. It really was. It felt like a small team trying to do something impossible, and you know, it wasn't the smallest team in the world, but we weren't the largest either. And it was just a lot of love and care and hard work that went into making these experiences flow one from another. My good friend Remy Lacoste, worked on a lot of these experience moments, like this crossing the log moment. Like, we do this 1,000 times in a Tomb Raider game, but to really make this first one feel precarious and dangerous, that was a lot of this camera work that we were putting into it. And Remy was a huge part of defining the camera of Tomb Raider.
Yeah. The cinematic experience when playing through this game is definitely something that's a highlight from this, especially considering like type rate warping is kind of was introduced at Chronicles way back when, but it wasn't really much of a thing. But here, like you've just highlighted this small moment here to be something that's really perilous. And it kind of adds to the kind of vulnerability of like Lara as a character as well going forward, and it sort of really does a really good job of emphasizing that.
And the animations holding her side, or if you move towards like one of the walls, she'll put her hands up on the wall and touch it as she passes by and things like that. Being grounded in the environment is so big here.
Yeah, my favorite thing
was,
is in Rise, when she comes out of a pool of water, she'll like pull her hair back into the ponytail, like get rid of the water out of her hair. So cool.
Oh yeah. That's a really cool like little attention to detail moment I like about those games. Because the attention to detail, like, admittedly here, is just astounding. It's really well done.
Come on.
I love that this scene made it into the movie too. What was that like seeing Brian? What was that like seeing like this iconic scene and other elements and homages to 2013 make it into the movie?
Well, I mean, it resonated with people enough to go, let's try to do our own version of it. I mean, films have to be what they are, but it was cool to see the touches in there that made it feel like the DNA was preserved. So that was pretty awesome. And thanks, Megan, for getting me into that premiere. It was
Yeah.
It was great. It was great being at that premiere with y'all.
That will be. I don't know if I will ever go to another film premiere, but I can check it off my bucket list now. I went to one. And it was
At Man's Theater, no less.
Terranetta apparently says in the chat, asks, is that supposed to be Amelia Earhart's camp and later on that plane, or no?
Very well. We were definitely hinting at it, right? So there was a lot of ideas of who we want Lara to be patterned after, and Amelia Earhart was one of those iconic female characters in history that we wanted to sort of nod to. Like, where would Amelia Earhart be if she was lost in the Bermuda Triangle? And it's like, well, maybe Yamatai, you know? So so that was definitely something we were thinking about.
Also, shout outs to that backpack that Lara just went through, because that looks eerily similar to the one that she used to wear back in the day. Was that intentional, or was that just literally just like an Easter egg or something? Or
I think everything. There was moments where we found opportunities for Easter eggs. I think that was something that we were definitely maybe making some hints at. I don't know if it was explicitly saying it was this cool backpack. But we try to do a lot of things in the game that made you recall the past games for sure.
Sure.
So I remember
And
Jay.
then things that kind of subvert your expectations, like saying I hate tunes, which
I remember Jay telling me about this scene, how they got her to shiver so realistically, because it was quite, I think, difficult at the time. I think to make characters with it, like in-game characters, shiver so realistically. So it was like getting like every sort of pixel to like vibrate pretty much, to just make it look like she was actually shivering.
Yeah, and not wobbling around
Yeah.
like some wacky inflatable floating object
Yeah.
from the car sales place.
Just so subtle, but it's really well done.
Yeah, but I think it's personally really well made because I feel cool just looking at Lara right now. I'm like, yeah.
That's because you're ill.
Okay, that's true, but come on.
the performance by Camilla is obviously so wonderful. Like she brings so much, and it was so cool seeing how she evolved over the trilogy of games. Like if you listen to Camilla from this scene here, and then again in Shadow when she's almost like driven to the brink by obsession and so on, and just the difference in her voice and personification and showing that growth is so awesome.
13th Elysium.
She embodied the soul of Lara Croft, right? And it was so wonderful to see her personal humanity, come through in this character.
Yeah. So we had a question in chat asking about the inspiration from Himiko. So I actually think it'd be really interesting to understand. So a lot of people, as we've been sharing interesting Ascension stuff, which is just so fascinating, some of the stuff that we found, are kind of under the impression that Ascension was like a canceled game versus a game that just evolved into TR2013. Do you want to talk a little bit about the process of Ascension and how it and what you guys explored and what you kept and what was left behind to end in this final project?
Yeah, I mean, Ascension was a lot of the early prototypes, even before my time. I came in at the tail end of us building Ascension, or the idea of what Ascension was, which was a lot more mythological, was much more about exploration and this relationship with this young girl. And the focus became more personal about Lara being a survivor. That survival tone was always in that Ascension game, but it was more like a survival horror fantasy. So what we decided when we were evolving this is just to focus it down on her and her character, and that meant sort of shrinking the size of the game and the scope and the myth of it, but that way it allowed us to explore her arc as a character. So yes, it was an evolution, Megan. It wasn't a canceled game as much as those ideas helped to bring forth the scavenger den, which you saw, and that was where we started to build the whole game from.
By how many people, and actually not surprised because I could see it working too, actually really think that a Tomb Raider survival horror game could work. And I
100%.
I could see it. Like, I don't know if I would want that as like my main series game, but like a spin-off, I could see that. That'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Tomb Raider as a franchise has always had horror in its roots, right? Like from the very beginning. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we wanted to make sure as we did this game that we were earning that horror, and we called, you're sort of going towards the weird, so you earn that from scavengers to mythological Oni, right? So, in the first game, just to go back to Ascension, we called those creatures Oni at the time, and then our Oni became more grounded in their appearance to look more like ancient Japanese warriors.
Yeah. Seeing some of the early Oni explorations were fascinating. I think one of the ones that wasn't used was like a vampire monk Oni that was like super agile and could like jump really far and stuff. And there are some really terrifying concepts in there.
Yeah, that was one of mine. I loved making that concept. That was great.
Yeah, I think we recently shared it in one of the concept art videos that we did, or the Friends of Foes video, but there were some really neat things in there. But I mean, obviously what we ended up was fascinating. I really loved, especially the Stalker, the giant Oni was terrifying. Gone.
Shout outs to like how much Jonah, by the way, has physically changed since this game as well. Out of all the characters here, he's been my favorite throughout the entire series, like the reboot series. And he just looks so drastically different compared to... I keep forgetting what he looks like in this game compared to what he eventually looks like in Shadow. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And Earl brought, once again, talking about heart and soul. Earl is the heart and soul of Jonah, and I just love that dude.
He really is. I love
Yeah,
Earl.
no, he's a great dude.
Props to Earl.
We we recently played Left 4 Dead 2 with him, and it was an absolute blast. He was a really good guy to hang out with. Looking forward to his cooking section,
Yeah.
which you should definitely check out. Wink, wink.
I don't even know what he's making. I just sometimes call him Jonah. I catch myself not knowing.
Do you reckon loads of people just do that by default? They speak
Yeah.
well and they just call him Jonah by just like accident or something?
Yeah.
I tried to, but I caught myself calling him Jonah more than once.
Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about the bow and why it was landed on with the bow, since we're watching Lara discover her now iconic bow?
Well, yeah, and that's another thing that came from the Ascension project, is the idea of Lara with a bow. So there was a lot of the DNA already being explored, and that came from what is the first survival weapon you can think of, and besides a stick, you know, or fire was really the first thing we used, right? That was the most primal tool.
Yeah.
And then from that, we said, well, what's the best offensive weapon? And the bow and arrow came up as a clear one, and we weren't sure if it was going to be embraced as a new iconic weapon, because the dual pistols have always been Lara's weapons, but we felt like the utility we were able to bring to the bow was going to make it so valuable, and people would feel that it became important to them just because of how much it could evolve. And that's what those like sort of light RPG elements of upgrades and really, I think, endeared people to the bow and the axe as iconic new features of the game.
Yeah, not just weapons, but tools, things that could be used for traversal or opening things, and also in defense. And yeah, the versatility of them is so important. That survival aspect.
I could definitely see
where
where you were.
Sorry.
No,
A lot of people thought Hunger Games was the reference. We were making this. We had these ideas before Hunger Games came out. It just so happened in the zeitgeist, bows became really cool at that time.
I remember when I saw the trailer for Hunger Games, I was like, damn it!
Yeah, and an unfortunate
We've been
coincidence.
working on this for so long.
I was just saying, like, with the whole bow aspect as well, kind of like where you obviously forced this character into this situation where she's having to survive. It's kind of a tool that enables the character to be able to progress and obviously like be able to evolve with this piece of equipment. It's kind of like indicative of her character's journey, because where she starts off with this stick that's been tied together with a rope, she eventually ends up with one that's made of metal and other crafted parts that she's found on her journey and stuff like that to make it sort of like more enhanced and more powerful. And I always found that kind of parallel between what you've decided to do with this character and obviously what you've done with this bow. Sort of like they're almost taking the same journey together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. Deborah, no.
Oh yeah, Deborah, I forgot about that. Her name again.
Was that the deer's name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I just called it Bambi's mum.
The fans name our animals. We don't come up with these names. It's the fans that bring it to life. So
Fifi is I think the one that
I was
ended
going
up
to say, Fifi the crab. Was that your idea, or was that someone else?
It was a fan idea.
Yeah, I was going to say Fang came up with that, didn't they?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Did we
I
name
actually
it-
remember
name the
the
bear,
first time I
right?
saw this area, Brian. I feel like I remember Kyle Bichelle standing up and demoing the hunting grounds for the first time and talking about like some of the behavior of animals and stuff like that, and their paths through the space, and it was just so different from anything that we've seen in a Tomb Raider game. I have so many fond memories of like Awesome Towns, which are like our internal meetings where we look at each other's different teams' concepts and stuff, and just seeing this game come together. It's so nostalgic.
yeah, I think the living world, the idea of a world that just had its own life, whether we were there or not, was important. And it was just the beginning on this one. I think for Rise, we took it to the next level, and I think Shadow continued that path, right? So, hunting in this game was just the beginning, and I think the idea of the resources weren't as fleshed out. But I do think it was the beginning of that loop of how does the player choose to engage in the world, besides just the main missions.
Yeah, absolutely. Rise really did take it to the next level with the different things that you could craft, and I think, I don't know how many off the top of my head, I think it was at least 12, maybe 16 or something different resources you could get, and crafting outfits and upgrading weapons and, you know, consumables and stuff, like so many unique things that you could do. But yeah, this was, at the time, it was just so different. And I like how Lara's official first kill is this deer, and so many people like felt it. Like, like no, because she didn't want to and she apologized, but it's survival.
Quick question, randomly. I don't know who would be the best person to answer this, but Obviously, there's this character model for Lara for this particular version, but then you've got the definitive version that released for PS4, which completely changed her look to be more in line with what she is in Rise. Who was in charge of that, just out of interest? What was the decision process behind changing or updating her look for that
So
version?
that was a conversation within the whole art team. So at the time, before I became game director, I was still art director, and I was working with Cam Yu, who was the lead character artist on. He made this version of Lara. Now, when we made the definitive edition, we wanted to do upgrades, and we were starting to develop the new next gen head for Lara on the game, and we had made progress. And Daryl said, "What do you guys think of?" Bringing this character, this update into the definitive edition, and that's the process. That's when the process began. But yeah, it was an in between stage as we were developing it, and ultimately we were just trying to get closer to that Visual Works head that you saw at the very beginning of the trailer. Right? Is
Yeah.
we were on that journey to get there, and those things were sort of being developed independently.
Yeah.
So that was the decision. It was like, how do we bring her to one unified aesthetic? And that's how it came about.
Yeah, that was very interesting because obviously, well, I've only known about this from playing it myself, and obviously this PC version still is the version that's, I guess you would say, vanilla compared to the ones on the PS4. But it'd be interesting to know whether or not that would be something that would be possible to bring forward, or
I mean, the older head, or
no, the
I'm sorry.
newer one, no, like
right.
to the other versions of this game, because I don't know if there's a mod that exists to bring that version to this particular version, or whether or not that's
I
something
don't.
I'm sure there is at this point. Fans have modded some. I've seen the fans showing the Angelina Jolie Rise mod.
Oh my god,
Yes,
that's
yeah, that's
amazing.
amazing, isn't it?
So amazing.
Yeah.
So many impressive things that fans have done. But I'd be surprised if it didn't already exist. Brian, could you actually talk about how you I can't remember her last name. I only remember her first name because it's Megan F. The face model.
Megan Farquhar in it.
How did you integrate that into Lara's design? Like, how much of that facial scanning technology did you use? Was it just like a baseline, and then you kind of added in her own personality, or what was that process like?
Yeah, so it was a baseline. I don't know if we've released. I want to say we released a version of the scavenger den with the more Megan Farquhar face. Like, has that ever been released, Megan Marie?
I think I have it on my computer right now, and I was gonna check and see if it had been released. And if it wasn't, I'm gonna put it out there. So
yeah,
soon.
I mean, it would be a cool thing to show. But that was like a more pure take on Megan's face, the scan that we did of her. And then what we decided was we wanted to get something more familiar to the classic, so we sort of hybridized Megan's face with classic features to get what the result you see here. And then as we went, and Visual Works made their model, it's like, well, that was based off of Megan Farquhar as well, but it was stylized in a way that we still felt retained the Lara Croftness of it. So it was a process that we were massaging throughout the two games.
Yeah. And then I feel like as in Rise and as the graphics and the model improved and so on, it's interesting how many people said they started to see Camilla in Lara's face. And I think it was because the model didn't become more like her. I think it was just the expressions and how she talked that actually shone through in the model, and people were able to see Camilla through that. That was so interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of what Cam did when he was modeling the expressions, he'd look at Camilla's expressions and try to match those, which is what brought some of that Camilla into the performance.
Yeah, it's amazing how much things like expressions and how someone's face moves can actually, even if it's on, a completely different face, can really have that personality shine through. But I remember she kept getting asked that during the Rise campaign, like, were you the face for her? And it really did. You could really see it through that. It's interesting.
It just shows how much like motion capture as a technology has come since its inception. Like this game in particular, obviously you got games like LA Noire that sort of pioneered the whole kind of facial recognition tech and stuff like that to be able to replicate actual actors' faces on character models. But here it was just amazing what they were able to do, and obviously the behind the scenes stuff with like Earl and Camilla and all the other actors that were sort of involved. It was just incredible to see what they could actually achieve, all the subtleties, all the kind of like subtle changes and stuff and nuances of the human face, but be able to achieve it on a video game character. It was just mad. I just love sort of watching that sort of thing back. That's the sort of type of game industry that fascinates me, I guess.
I can't
And
even imagine where it's gonna go.
No,
Yeah,
no,
this-
especially with deepfakes and stuff, it's going to get even more interesting, I guess. Sorry.
What were you gonna say, Brian?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that definitely facial animation has evolved a lot since this game even, and you know we were using a bones-driven system to get a little nerdy, techie. Now everything's built off of explicitly modeled face shapes and morph targets, and that's how we were able to get even more subtlety in the expressions. So yeah, there's a lot of evolution that has happened to Lara Croft across the 3 games. That's for sure.
Also, shout out to Lara for falling asleep and then her friends disappearing. And just completely leaving her.
She had to, so she could start yelling Sam.
Sam!
Sam!
Step to the bear trap, Sam!
All the Oh, got
I
cramp.
don't know if you guys remember it, but there was this scene in the trailer where Matthias actually, like, you know that Matthias is actually evil and takes Sam away, and Lara tries to chase after him, but she obviously stumbles on the bear trap. I remember this scene from one of the trailers or gameplay. I don't know which one it was.
We changed it. This scene
yeah,
used
it
to
was
be
changed.
completely different, and we made her fall asleep because it felt better in a way than seeing Matthias take her. It was better to have the mystery, we felt, so that's why the scene was changed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair. I also like this.
From a narrative perspective, I can completely see why you did that. Also, I kind of feel like this particular scene is kind of just like almost a callback to the original scene from Tomb Raider 1 where she just opens the doors and the wolves kind of rush out. It's just kind of like she's getting revenge. So, you killed my Peruvian god, will you? I'll show you. I'll show you, wolves.
I still remember, Brian, one of my favorite and like most terrifying moments working at Crystal was when we had to demo this on stage at EGX, and
Yes.
I was so afraid I was going to die or fail or whatever. That's always like when you're playing live, your nerves get you. And I remember
Right,
I
Yeah.
literally headshotted every single wolf perfectly, and I tried to play it cool. Like yeah, this is what I do all the time. Sure. I tried to like play it cool, and I was I didn't die.
I can still remember that event.
Yeah, and when you're ahead, you were actually like, yeah, go me!
Oh,
Yeah.
Shout out to Lara's like regenerative like abilities, similar to Wolverine with the whole being
Yeah,
stabbed through the
Wolverine
abdomen
can
and
never
having a
have
bear
a
trap on her leg and still be able to run and jump. She truly is a strong character.
Oh, Chris has asked, is it true that Laura's model was made shorter in game to meet Camilla's height? I think her model is taller in 2013, shows when she's in crawl spaces, apparently.
No, it's the same exact height. The only thing that's different is the physique of the character changed from 2013, but it is exactly the same. We used all, the foundation of the same skeleton.
Oh, okay. There you go, Chris.
Fair enough. I hate Whitman.
Yeah, everyone does. We wanted to make the most hateable character in the world, and I think we succeeded. He is truly a
It's a
hateable.
moustache, it just makes him look evil.
He looks like Desert Island Flanders, and
Yeah, I hate him.
I just don't like him.
No
Idly
offense
ho,
to him, but I hate
neighborino!
him.
Oh, you have these
Oh,
bow and
God,
arrows
true,
and guns.
honey,
I'm just gonna
yeah.
put mine array. Oh.
Well, I won't say who we based him off of.
Oh, please.
That just makes me more interested.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just believe some mysteries must be kept mysteries.
Oh, that's so cute.
No one we knew personally,
Brian.
no one we knew personally.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
You
please.
sure?
Sure.
Seriously wants to know what your most memorable moment was working on the Tomb Raider franchise, Brian.
Oh, the team, meeting everyone, Crystal Dynamics. I know that sounds like maybe a schmaltzy answer, but I can't tell you how much I learned about making AAA video games from working with Crystal and everyone on that team. So now, and then of course, I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan, so being able to work on a storied franchise, one of the games that sort of inspired me to want to stay in this industry was Tomb Raider, and yeah, it was just an incredible honor to be able to bring a new chapter to her story.
Just out of interest, Brian, which ones did you play first? I'm just sort of interested to know your history with the franchise.
Oh, the first one. I mean, I fell in love with the first one and played it from beginning to end, and Tomb Raider 2 next after that, and those were the games that made me go, this is what video games can do, right? This is the kind of stories we can tell, and I just love the freedom of the camera. And before that, I was into Mario and Zelda and all those kind of games, so it was like a more realistic take on Zelda to me. And and that's ultimately some of the spirit of this game is Zelda. Like Noah Hughes will tell you, we just love the loop of Zelda, and we just sort of brought orange in on it.
Gating and all of that.
Yeah. I do have to say, every time I've opened something in this, when I actually recently streamed this for some people, and when I got to a couple of chests, I did do the kind of like da-na-na-na sound effect when she was kind of slowly opening the chest. So yeah, I get the
Not even
Awesome.
not even subtle homage.
No, not at all. No,
Not subtle at all.
no. But,
There are homages to other things in this game, like the DLC outfits. They were what kind of references to some other badass women in pop culture, like aliens and Blade.
So, I want to say, yeah, we had references to other archers. There was no Hunger Games reference. It was definitely Ripley was my favorite.
Yeah, I love that one.
Ripley is the prototypical, the best heroine ever in any media in my mind. Like, she and then Terminator. I think Terminator was the other one. Start with Sarah Connor. Yeah. So Sarah Connor and Ripley are some of my favorite heroes in all media.
good man, good man.
Yeah, they're great at that.
Yeah, we
It just blows my mind that now, like, both Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley are in Fortnite with Lara Croft, and so I
Yeah.
can kind of...
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? How the whole thing's just come together, isn't it? Yeah.
And now Jill from Resident Evil's in there, and I can just run around and play this game with some of the best, like, women in all of entertainment. It's so phenomenal. That
Do you
game
know
is...
what I did when I got that pack from Fortnite, though? As soon as I got that, I got both Chris and I got both Jill. And do you know what I did as Chris? I ran around and I punched boulders. I just had to. I just had to as Chris, because he is just... He's known for... Everyone's known that scene from Resident Evil 5 where he has that quick time event where he punches boulders. And I just had to do it as him. I just love the fact that they added both those characters. And both, like, variations, like, from her remake version and also from the classic. I thought it was awesome.
Remake Valentine and reboot Lara are great together in a team. They look like they come from the same universe. And then having Aloy in there, too, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like real world Ready Player One. It's just so fun to run around in.
Who knows, maybe in 20 years' time we will have technology to play as Lara.
wouldn't that be
I
nice?
mean, the player will be Lara, you know, in VR, and we'll just move around ourselves, jumps and
Like
everything.
a holodeck?
Yeah, maybe.
That's my dream for games is holodeck. But I would never play a horror game in a
Oh
holodeck.
my god.
Oh god, no. I think I'd have a heart
I
attack.
don't know. I would be tempted, but I'm pretty sure that I'm like, oh, that's easy. And then two minutes in, I'm like, yep, I'm good with it now.
Could you imagine, though, like, the amount of, like, videos I've seen of people wearing VR headsets and just accidentally, like, punching their television or their child or something because they're not aware of the space they're in? Like, an acrobatic character like Lara, as amazing as that would be to do in VR, could you imagine the chaos that would ensue if you gave people that power? That would just be...
And you just look back at your room and you're just like, oh, that's better than last week. Last week was worse.
Here you go, Auntie Mildred. I've got this game here for you to try on VR. Oh, what's that, Kiri? Oh, it's called Tomb Raider. I think you'll really like it. Oh, let's give that a try. And then all of a sudden she's doing cartwheels and backflips in the lounge or something, like taking out the coffee table, and all of a sudden
Mom,
the TV
look,
gets
it's a
kicked.
cartwheel. Yeah,
No, quick, no! Stop her, please! Because didn't Rise of the Tomb Raider have a VR option anyway? I've not played it.
On the manor, it does.
Yeah, in the mansion, yeah, that's actually, that was a pretty cool experience. Yeah, but that was done post launch, I think, for the PlayStation version, right, Megan?
My 20-year celebration.
Yeah, yep.
And I mean, testing it internally, I remember the first time I put it on, and it was before we had the warp movement, the where you kind of throw your cursor.
Right, you got sick, didn't you?
I just, like, immediately tipped over. I, like, fell over it. I was behind me, fine, but I pressed forward, and my brain was like, wait, you're not moving, and then I just went backwards.
Yeah,
but
I got
people got
heavy
this
from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. And just walking around Croft Manor on your, like, seeing Croft Manor in VR, even in that state of disrepair, and being able to look and investigate things and, you know, crouch down and kind of look under a desk and stuff. It was just, for a Tomb Raider fan, it was just unreal. It was such a cool experience.
I believe the VR version is actually available for the Steam version too, if I'm not mistaken.
It is now, yeah. At the time, it was just PSVR, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
it's
Yeah, I remember
definitely
doing the manor in
Oh,
VR on Rise, and yeah, that was trippy. I think it was like my first ever experience of PlayStation VR. I think, or was it Xbox? I can't even remember. But yeah,
Very disappointed. No butler freezing in VR. One day we
fail.
will get that.
One day we'll just look Winston in the eye directly and be like, yeah, I'm closing you in this fridge.
0 out of 10. IGN. No butlers.
I think we made a reference to some of the documents you could find.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's
the fact that
one.
you could play Venice violins was quite cool.
Yes.
So Brian, Tyrannus is asking if you could change one thing from TR 2013, what would that be? That's an interesting question. I'm sure there was so much that you like. There's always more aspirations than can actually, you know, make it into a dev cycle and so on.
But this is really
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to pinpoint it maybe to one thing. I think the only thing I do wish we could have done, even though that VisualWorks trailer is amazing, it is at the top. We actually had a mission that was based on that was going to be playable, and we could not get that done in time, right? So we ended up just saying, well, we've got this trailer, like let's just use that instead. So I don't hate the fact that we have that VisualWorks trailer at the top. It would have been wonderful to see if we could have played that Escape Off the Birds.
Yeah.
So that would be the one thing I think.
I imagine it must be very emotionally draining for Camilla when she was doing this. I must imagine it must have been really intense for her doing this, honestly.
Putting yourself into that position mentally and trying to think about like what would it be like to take a human life, even if it was, you know, a kill or be killed situation, just in that moment realizing. And I like it because it, you know, it's not easy by any means, but I think that if you're trying to, you know, in a way ground Lara and kind of set the stage for the Tomb Raider that she becomes, right? Like understanding what her first kill is like is really important. And
I guess so, but it's also like one of the things I liked about Anniversary is the fact that her first human kill was Larson, and that was driven by ambition, wasn't it? So it's a completely different way of telling the same story, if that makes any sense. So it's interesting how there are two sides to the same coin with this particular type of like moment in her life, if that makes sense. So it's going to be interesting to see how when you combine the two together and everything into this unified timeline, what's going to stick and what's not. You know what I mean?
glad that Larson died.
Ah, Larson's amazing though. I like Larson. I like the chemistry they had between each other though. They seemed like they had a history. You know what I mean? Like they could have been best pals. They could have had a TripAdvisor holiday somewhere in Spain. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, like this performance that Camilla gives is really nice. It is like
It's amazing.
Yeah,
you all
it
know
is
how
good.
to see chat and the video at the same time. I'm not a big user of Discord, so.
If you were to open Twitch, you'd see it on there because obviously I think you're watching it on Discord,
Yeah,
aren't you?
I'm watching the Twitch stream on a different.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure if there's anything that anyone has questions, I can't see.
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
I've got the twat the twat. The chat open. Sorry, chat's open at the same time, so I can at least see. Sorry, Freudian slip.
Here's something interesting. This village here was based on a trip I went to Japan. And I went to Nikko, an amazing mountain village in Japan.
Oh, no way.
And a
You
lot
did
of
as well.
this is inspired by Nikko and the shrines there. So.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
That was a lot of fun to see that space come to life in our game.
Did anybody else go on that trip with you, or was it just the art director privilege of getting to go there and take photos? You took tons of reference photos, right?
Yeah. So I was very lucky because I got to work with VisualWorks in Japan, and I was there, and I said, well, while I'm in Japan, let me do some research, and I found this village, and I took a train ride one day while working with them, and I spent the day in Nikko.
One thing I kind of love about this scene too is like the fact that the scavengers are burning down all of the buildings kind of reinforces the idea that they are the bad guys, right? Like they're the antithesis of Lara, who is a protector of ancient knowledge. Yeah, it's subtle, but it's an interesting little parallel.
Yeah, because they were willing to burn down like decades worth of history in order to get to her and get their job done. Whereas, like, obviously she's not at this stage now in her career, but later on, she is the character to kind of want to preserve history and make sure that it's kind of as intact as possible to be able to sort of achieve those goals. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. That's a good point.
I think we just wanted as much tension as we could here and show what they're willing to do to round up the remaining survivors of the endurance and burning
Also
out
from a
all these
visual
huts.
perspective.
Yeah. It was just how can we make this as dramatic as possible? And
Well,
yeah, I think the
Lara.
fact that they just don't care, right? Like that, if it doesn't help them survive, they're not going to covet it, the scavengers. So, yeah, Lara's definitely much more interested in the truth.
I just saw Ed's in the chat.
I do love the visual aspect of this whole kind of like environment with the whole Japanese style architecture, and obviously with it being on fire, it's quite like a nice kind of visual contrast and pleasing like, aesthetic. I do like the island of Yamatai and what you have built with it. When I was just trying to remember when I was playing through it for the first time, my initial thoughts of it, but sort of playing back through it recently was one of those things where just like going through the scene again in particular, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is honestly really cool. I like the set pieces that you kind of gone for. How do you feel about the comparisons that you possibly have gotten to Uncharted? Because obviously that was a game franchise at the time that was doing similar sort of things with adventure platforming and whatnot. Is that something that you were aware of, or something you've ever thought about? Or
Sure. I mean, I remember when we were developing this, Uncharted 2 came out, and it was just one of the best video game experiences I'd ever played, and we'd ever played. Like we just knew that they were taking, like, Uncharted was based on an inspiration from the Tomb Raider, and then Tomb Raider took inspiration from the evolution of that, right? And how do we push the action adventure genre to the next level? But ultimately, it's the formula, I think, that makes Tomb Raider unique, is that we had these explorable open spaces, and we let the player do crafting, and there was, even though we had the set pieces of Uncharted, we also wanted to make sure that there was this RPG light growth on the character, and really embracing exploration and puzzles and tombs, that we felt we could do something more unique to our franchise. So I think everyone inspires each other in a way, and it's funny.
And everybody wins.
Yeah, and I got to see them. You know, Uncharted ended up making with the Lost Legacy some of these large explorable spaces, which I know because I worked with one of the developers who worked on that, said they were inspired by Tomb Raider. So it's kind of interesting how we sort of influence each other.
Yeah, and because they're all great action adventure games, and obviously like the survival aspect really, you know, the more lighthearted tone of Uncharted, which I love that sort of quippy, silly, you know, Nathan Drake's kind of persona and so on, and this is tonally so different.
Yeah.
It's funny because, you know, they also made The Last of Us, right? So we were doing this game when they were making The Last of Us. So there was definitely some interesting journeys that we were both going on at the same time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is interesting to see kind of how like one franchise kind of influences another and how it's all kind of cyclical. And I also understand how like going through this, it's something that you've obviously wanted to do to try and differentiate yourself at a glance for the average consumer. What would be the difference between Tomb Raider and Uncharted? It definitely is tone. Is something that I really think you succeeded at. Like with this, it's something that I really feel has I think one person like coined the term "I spit on your tomb," because like the fact it's such a kind of like oppressive, like grim and gritty tone compared to Uncharted's kind of like Indiana Jones, light-hearted, happy-go-lucky tone, swashbuckly tone. But I think like with everything going forward, like this is something I feel like out of anything has been really successful for you guys. I think it.
And I will say, it was also just looking back at the first game. My impressions of playing the first Tomb Raider were the horror. I felt the isolation and the horror roots of Tomb Raider, and so we felt like we were just making a spiritual successor to that tone with the fidelity of modern consoles. So we were able to do more set pieces and some of these more spectacular sequences. But we also had that oppressiveness and that isolation and the darkness of the first game.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the scenes in Tomb Raider and here, Tomb Raider 2013, you've got, the sort of bloodbath and the room with all the bodies and stuff like that. But then, like, Tomb Raider 1996 had meat walls. Like, in Atlantis, breathing.
To a certain degree, because you remember you had Atlantis in the original Tomb Raider, where it had all the kind of ones that were covered in flesh and covered like moving, pulsating body parts with all the people that were just all the mummies that would just like run at you, screech and explode.
Yeah, it was
So the body horror type of aspects, which I think I feel like you would kind of like attach or latch onto and trying to retranslate into this in some way. Because
there's definitely some DNA that we wanted to bring over, you know, I think horror, you know, I will say another inspiration for this game was The Descent, the movie The Descent. There was a huge influence on us, and that was a horror film, one of my favorites still. But the perseverance and strength that comes through the adversity on that, and the darkness, I think that's what made people sort of fall in love with this version of Lara. Is her determination.
Yeah, I love hearing stories about how, you know, Lara has inspired, specifically this Lara has inspired people to kind of persevere through tough times and to just keep moving and so on. And it's so interesting to hear how like the different, you know, eras of Lara have inspired people in different ways, but still inspired them to be stronger and persevere and to search for adventure and all these sorts of things. It's just it's a different way to get to the same, you know, the same destination. Really fun to see, you know, people who start with the reboot series and then go back and play the classics, and how that's a different experience for them versus people who started with the classics and then go, you know, play the reboot series. And it's just really interesting.
I'm looking forward to the day where like people who play the classics or people who play the reboots, sorry, are able to sort of easily access like every era of her back catalogue and be able to sort of experience all the multiverse timelines of her journey. Honestly, it's just kind of like interesting how kind of like Shadow of the Tomb Raider is kind of the apex of the beginning of her journey, and I'm something as me as a person, I'm really curious to see where that kind of goes from there. And yeah, I can.
It's exciting. The whole idea of the unified timeline moving forward is just, you know, as a fan and as someone who works on the franchise still, it's thrilling. I cannot wait for the Netflix series. I am so stoked.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's
Tasha, you can tell how big of a fan she is, and I think that she is going to bring such a cool journey to that series.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
super
one thing
excited.
we were saying when we were watching the Marvel's What If series, we just happened to sort of be like, oh, Hayley Atwell, yeah, she'd be a good fit for like a more mature kind of Lara Croft. And then lo and behold, a few weeks later, she gets announced as the voice of Lara for the Netflix show. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah.
And it would just be interesting to see some of like what aspects of her life get kind of like unified and what don't. And you know what I mean? It's like you guys have got a very tough task ahead of you to be able to sort of like unify in the best way that you possibly can. And it'd be interesting to see what parts from like early Crystal get unified, what parts don't, what parts from Core get unified, what don't. And it's, yeah, and obviously this is the starting point going forward. And obviously this is the origin story that everyone's going to need to kind of like start from. And it'll be interesting to see what stories they craft in the Netflix show from Shadow of the Tomb Raider going up to what they say is the very first steps of the 1996 original game. I'm very excited. I don't know if anyone else is.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm a fan, right? So all things Tomb Raider I'll consume no matter what. I just absolutely love this franchise. So in any expression.
Did you hear that Matt Gaston's RPG is finally coming to light, Brian?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, after he's been working on it, I think, since 2009.
Wow.
We hired some members of the community to help illustrate it, and we're working on publishing it as a free digital RPG for fans to play. The like 200-page rule book and the 90-page adventure, I think, the first adventure, Mark of the Phoenix. Yeah, it's exciting to see it. Just speaking of fans that work internally, Matt Gaston's been working on this for so long and play testing it internally with other members of the dev team, and it's just so exciting to finally see it come to light.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I
think we should praise Lori. Lori, you've just been so focused.
I know.
I'm
just like, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up.
There's paranoid of the next QTE.
Yeah.
I am. I'm like,
Don't worry, she'll miss it.
palms are sweaty.
Megan, I think there's there's a question in the chat which I feel needs answering. Is Pearson, which is the shipping between Pierre and Larson, going to become canon?
Yes.
Shipping is as real as it is in someone's head. Like if you ship someone, it's real to you. That's all I can say.
That's a very diplomatic and professional answer, and I appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
love it.
We do.
Like I think that the power of shipping is in like the communities who embrace it, and, like have them take a life of their own, right? Like I think that that's such a
I see some fan arts that are actually really, really well done about some ships, you know?
Yeah, completely. There's some very interesting and very detailed Curtis Trent fan arts which I've been on Twitter as well.
Oh,
So let's see if he makes a comeback at some
I
point.
definitely haven't retweeted any of them. Nope.
Oh no, completely no. I've definitely not ordered a body pillow for my home with him on it as a
Okay,
fan
this is
art.
slander now. Okay, you're slandering me now.
I can say some things. I do not ship Lara and Curtis. I will go down in flames saying that. And this is me personally. This is not a
No, don't worry.
professional.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
I'm not behind Lara and Curtis.
I'm
Austin,
kind of the
it's not
same,
me,
but I know
I
that Terranetta would probably lynch me if I said that, but there we go.
Curtis for a body pillow. Yeah, I'm sure they recommend
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Wait, what? Hold on. Hello? Yeah?
This is such an intense scene too.
Yes.
Like Lara, I love her little dialogue with Roth here as she like realizes that he can't go and retrieve the radio and like she has to do it and you know.
Oh,
trying
you
to
northern
gather the
bastard.
Yeah, exactly. I love
Yeah.
that. Crazy northern bastard. Laura, you have to walk into a cave and stab a wolf in the throat too many times so we can get radio.
Well, technically,
I
she got
still-
all the healers.
I still maintain that Roth should have been played by Sean Bean.
Yes.
Well, that
Because
was
it would have
that
been
was the-
perfect for him. It would have
Well,
been
Sean
perfect.
was our when I designed him. It was Sean Bean, so I
see
wanted
Sean
Sean
Bean.
Bean.
I love
A
it.
little too close to Sean
I
Bean.
love that.
Yeah. He was originally.
That would have been amazing because he's perfect casting because A, he's a kind of mentor figure that people latch onto really easily, and B, he always dies in his films. So
Exactly.
How dare
He gets the full Sean Bean treatment. But yeah, I mean, we always try
Someone
to
needs
think
to
about
mod Sean Bean in this.
we always try to think about people if we could dreamcast them, right? And that's just a process we go through in character design, and we modify from those inspirations. But yeah, a Sean Bean-like character is what Roth was modeled off of.
oh, amazing.
What
So I missed-
was there
I missed
an
Sam's
inspiration
question.
from one of the earlier concept pieces of Alex? I'm forgetting his name right now, but he looks like Zach Galifianakis. He kind of in the earlier ones. He
Early
looked
ones, yes. We were 100% thinking about a Zach Galifianakis-like character because we wanted that level of comic relief, and it was just too far. So
Oh
Yeah.
my
Zach-
god.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
Amazing. Zach Galifianakis in Tomb Raider. That would have been a choice.
Well, you can see some of the early concept art. He looks significantly different, but I like where he ended. He was just kind of like a refined geek. I don't know. He's like a classy little was a caffeine molecule tattoo and like the escape shirt, and it was a little more put together than the original version.
So I
Love that escape shirt. Brandon Russell designed that character. Russell.
You ever thought about selling it as merch?
Oh,
we
I think
did
it
it.
was.
I think they
It
did.
was.
What?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh
We had a
man, I missed that boat.
Yeah, Jay got it. I think that was his first cosplay, was as Alex.
Oh yeah,
Oh no way.
He was going to do Roth, you know, the northern bastard thing, but never got around to
Oh please, yeah.
it. No, Sam has asked about the idea towards multiplayer, like if you could talk more about the multiplayer of the game.
A lot of that was done by our friends up in Montreal. Yeah, right?
All right.
Blame
Yeah.
Canada.
No, I mean, no, it was really a cool parallel process where we were building the single player game and Idos Montreal was working on the multiplayer. And yeah, the idea there was to try to find the spirit of what we were doing and come up with a multiplayer experience that was going to be as fun as possible. But I can't remember how long that was developed, but I do know that was primarily developed in Montreal.
honestly, it was so unique though. I loved like the use of traps and the survival elements and so on in it. You know, some people still really enjoy playing it to this day, and I think we were at one point going to try to do a multiplayer play session, but I think we already put Neha through so much trying to organize this with all the different parts and guests and everything that we're also going to try to do a 16-person Fortnite all Lara squad. But that would have been too much for this too. So maybe some other time we'll keep streaming and doing different things. But yeah, it's a really awesome mode.
And our second most iconic tool, the axe. I really loved how these pieces of gear, you know, were introduced narratively and became very functional and allowed you to expand your journey in the island. It's definitely one of my favorite parts of our design.
Yeah, absolutely. The 13th Asylum is Elysium is asking how much research was done into the real myth and legend of Himiko.
A lot. I know Tim Longo before us, you know, was looking into it, and I think Noah and John Stafford picked that up, and there was a lot of research done, and around as well. So it's like I think the idea was how can we make it feel authentic to that that myth, but also make it our own. So there was definitely some liberties taken with the myth, but the root of it is definitely researched.
Yeah, in the cookbook / travel guide that just came out last week, we did a bunch of research into like the real myths between or behind that, and if you wanted to go to Japan and visit the two different locations where they argue it's like this big controversy in Japanese culture where Yamatai and Himiko would have been, and it's these two different locations based on basically one is a tomb that was discovered that had some like hairpins or something that were gifted to Himiko in legend and stuff, so I think it could have been there, and the other one is it because they found like a remains of a village from that period of time, and so it's like this big discussion and debate in Japanese culture about which one of these two locations is where Himiko and Yamatai were. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I think we always try to find in these games, like, what are myths that are possibly not as well known, and how can we bring them to light? And this is one of those, and just like Katesh was for Rise of the Tomb Raider. These were important cultural myths, but maybe not as ubiquitous as the Atlantean myths that have been the basis of the Tomb Raider roots.
Trinity is asking, what was the main reason why Sam was kept alive at the end? From a story perspective, is that something you remember, Brian, or is that more of like a narrative team answer?
Well, I mean, definitely we've had versions of it where Sam didn't live, right? So we went through various versions of this because I don't know about. I was a huge Buffy fan, and I always loved the Buffy angel sacrifice, and I think that was an original idea that we had was what if, you know, Lara, after doing all this work to try to save her, had to sacrifice her. But ultimately, we wanted her story to live on, right? And we wanted Sam to have more adventures, and that became a very interesting arc throughout the comics. Yeah, I really enjoyed what the comics did.
Yes, I remember the comics actually, because a lot of the story instances to do with Sam was actually involving her getting repossessed by Himiko.
Yep.
Yeah, she punches a shark in the face.
Yes, she does. She fucking does. I'm just like, wow. Because I actually recently did a series with a channel called Suggested Gaming where we go through the whole entire timeline of all the different eras. And when it came to the Survivor era, I was actually quite amazed at how many kind of storylines involved Sam and how, like, Himiko was still a prominent presence. Is that something that you guys were ever kind of like involved with in any way, or was that something that was handled by a third party?
That was mostly Megan. I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Rihanna
Noah,
worked with Noah and John and so on. So it was a collaboration between the comic writers and our narrative team too.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, Rihanna wrote the first.
Go ahead.
She wrote the first comic, and she wrote a series of it, right? I do know she was involved.
Yeah.
As a writer.
I recently found one of the scenes, and no, I'm sorry, I'm not putting it online. All of you. I did find one of your Lara killing Sam, and I think I sent it to Hunter. It traumatized him.
Oh no.
Hunter,
Oh wow.
Yeah. Just because Sam dying at the hands of Lara is traumatizing. It's not like it's, you know,
Yeah, that's
or anything. It's
that's
just
a very
heartbreaking.
that's a very extreme.
I feel far enough removed to say I preferred that version just because I felt it worked against what Roth's.
Yeah.
Ross messaged to her about you don't know about sacrifice, you know about loss, and I don't know. So for me, I thought her being able to make that sacrifice would have been more powerful.
I do,
but that's
yeah.
my 2 cents.
I do think that's like
'cause-
the one negative about the story. It's all about sacrifice, and yeah, that would have been like the perfect way to drive that message across for Lara, is to sacrifice her best friend. But
It was dark, right?
Yeah,
and it made a lot of
it's-
people feel
yeah.
bad. So I
it's
understand.
understandable why they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
The game already had a lot of not sacrifice, but loss and a
Lots
lot
of people
Yeah,
dying.
loss.
Yeah. It's one of those things where kind of like as much as narratively it makes a lot of sense, it kind of just it all depends on the reaction of the audience. If the audience reacts to it in a way it's kind of negative and it's like, oh, we don't like that, then obviously you're gonna need to change it to adjust accordingly to give some kind of like hope at the end of the tunnel. Like at
And
the end
that's
of the
really
tunnel,
what it
so to
came
speak.
down to. We wanted
Thank you
a
for
little more
subscribing,
hope,
Cyanogen.
and that was a way to accomplish that. And you know, I'm so happy Jonah rode through the series because you know,
Yes.
his character, I think, just embodied. He was the audience for us. He could ask Lara the hard questions. And I always felt related. Yeah, I felt like he was providing that voice that Lara needed to hear.
His monologue in Shadow is always something that will stick with me because it is just basically kind of us as the audience is basically yelling at us like, it's not always about you. Shut up and help these people. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it's just,
he's always there for Lara, but he tells her, you know, it's usually like a very supportive way, and then it's almost aggressive but still supportive way in Shadow, where he has to just shake her out of something and kind of tell her what she needs to hear but doesn't want to hear, and I think that's so
he's
great.
a really, really, really good character in the reboot era. It, honestly, yeah. And here we go, cooking with Jonah.
Yeah.
Yay, early access.
So Cammy in chat is one of our artists who's working on the TRRPG, one of the people we hired to work on the RPG, and she has a character concept art question. She says that TR2013 has awesome character turnaround pages. Were those made with photo refs made specifically like the job for your TR cover art, or are they turnarounds pure concept art? Yeah, so I guess is it like well, you know, we showed how you use the reference for the cover art with the Aaron, the awesome model, and so on. So when it came to like some of the early concept pieces, are they pure art, or did you use photo reference or any of those models early on?
Yeah, we go through a lot of, you know, we use photo source to help make the outfits more real and believable, and the characters, you know, bodies and everything to try to make them feel as authentic and real as possible. We would use photographs, but the design usually started with your traditional two-dimensional design, trying to get the color blocking and the size and proportion. And then, yeah, the turnarounds were more a use of photo manipulations to do that. So I really enjoyed the hybrid process personally.
Recently, I found the photos that we shot for one of the renders. I completely forgot I did that, and I was digging for stuff, Brian, and then I found it. I was like, what the hell did we shoot together for one of the early renders? And I completely forgot. But I found them, and it's like little baby Megan. It's hilarious.
Well, remember, I did an image of Lara with your reference photos, Megan.
Yes,
so.
that is still a highlight. As a Tomb Raider fan, that is crazy town for me still. Where did that question we just have go? Oh, is Lara a dog or cat person? I feel adamant about this that Lara's a cat person, but I feel like
I feel like so too. Personally, I think so too.
Yeah?
I think.
Right.
I don't think she'd have the patience for a dog.
Yeah.
I don't know, Megan, what do you think?
So we did the Shadow of the Tomb Raider Cute Raider thing, and I argued to the end of the earth that Lara should have been represented by a cat and not a dog. But I lost, and she was a Australian Shepherd, and the cats were the evil Trinity people or whatever.
Oh man.
I think she'd be a cat, but that's me. But
Yeah, she's kind of like independent and focused and kind of like.
Exactly, Megan. I had the same thought process just now.
But evidently cats are harder to train than dogs, so I
Cats are Trinity confirmed. That's the one takeaway from this stream is cats are Trinity. That's
You're gonna be okay, Steve. I promise.
It's fine, Hetty. It's fine. I've got you.
chat.
Headshot City.
Lara is a pet rock
It's
person,
so pocket,
actually.
and I love it.
Someone in Cyan Jin says in chat, Lara is a pet rock person.
She calls it Alistair.
Oh man, I probably shouldn't have brought up the Lara killing Sam scene. Now everybody's asking me. I feel like putting it out there would like change the actual ending.
Do it.
Oh, Steve, can you
I'll
check?
talk to you.
Sam
I
asked a
support
question
you,
about the
Megan.
comics.
I support you, Megan, 100%. Whatever
What
you
was
want.
that, sorry?
Sam asked a question about the comics in the chat, but I missed it.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
happens somewhere in the multiverse, right? It's canon somewhere.
It's like heartbreaking though. It's super sad. All right.
Who was it that asked a comment about some comics? Sorry, Laurie.
Saman.
Montage.
Yeah.
Feck. Let's have a look.
What was the question?
It's about the comics.
I think I found it, Laurie.
Speaking of, here we go. Speaking of comments, question for Megan: is there a
Okay.
possibility to release a digital version of the Tomb Raider archives 1 to 4? It's hard to find a cover. It's super expensive now.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure because I think that the contract with Dark Horse ended. And so I think that we would have to go through that process and redo a contract and all of that. And I don't know if there's plans for that at the moment, but I can definitely ask. I'll make a note to ask about it. Because I do know it's really hard to find. Make a note so I don't forget.
Laurie, great job with those headshots.
Yeah, I was
Thank
gonna say
you.
some really good bow
Is
discipline
acing
here.
them all. She hasn't been caught as well.
Yeah,
I
I
must-
like.
I mean, watch me jinx it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck up now. You watch.
I will take 0% responsibility, just so you know.
There we go. Headshot.
We had another art question for you, Brian, and I know like covers are like covers go through hundreds of iterations, it feels like. So we recently posted that video that had like the behind the scenes shots with Aaron and like the different cover versions. And so what is the process of choosing a perfect cover? Is it a art director or marketing decision or a studio wide vote or what? Like how did that go about for TR2013 and I suppose Rise
Again,
as well?
Bren tends to do the sketches for what those covers would be. Like he came up with the emotional look of Lara clutching her arm with a wound and holding the bow. So that was all from Bren's sketches, and then we recreated that in photography, and then I worked with the company to develop the final look with Aaron, and then some visual works renders composited in. But yeah, Bren has been really extremely influential on all of our iconography throughout the whole franchise. So he was wonderful to work with on all of the key art that we made.
Yeah, he's been having fun doing some of these TR25 art pieces for us. I know he's enjoyed putting his personal spin on things like the TR1 redesign art and so on. It's always amazing to see him doing
Which
TR.
ones did Bren did again?
He did TR1 and TR Anniversary.
Ah,
The
that
bow
one,
skills on display are incredible. I just want to
yeah. I must admit,
explodable barrel.
the
Yes,
barrel.
there is.
Do a barrel roll.
No.
Oh, that was a great barrel roll.
I must admit that art for Tomb Raider 1 that he did. I recently upgraded my home studio to have like a sound panel, and they offer like custom art prints, and I actually got that printed on a sound panel, so I've got that like literally just above my head, staring at me. It's bloody amazing, honestly. The art that's come out of this celebration has been the best. It's honestly
I'm
so
excited
good.
that you guys like it because the whole point was to do just drastically different art styles, and it's really fun to do. Like not everybody might love every single art style. Like some people aren't a big fan of anime, or some people aren't a big fan of like hyperrealism or surrealism and stuff. But that's okay. Like the idea is that Lara is so iconic that she can be re-envisioned in so many different ways.
Yeah, of course. You got Yoshitaka Amano to do some art. I'm just,
That was amazing.
as a Final Fantasy fan, I'm absolutely in awe that you managed to be able to get him to do that. That is just incredible. Like I looked at his art when he did it, and it was like, oh my god, that's so good. That's so
As
good.
a Final Fantasy fan, you might be excited about Rise too. We have another awesome Japanese artist.
Yeah.
who's working
Ooh,
All right, okay.
it's for the beans.
really bringing up like the woman who is doing Guardian of the Light does like children's book illustrations, and
Oh, wow.
it is what I have seen so far is phenomenal. It's like you would never look at it and be like, yeah, she focuses she does like specifically Mexican like mythology and that kind of stuff, and so it was perfect for Guardian of Light, and it is maybe one of my favorites. It's so unique and so different, but yeah, I just love seeing whatever.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing that.
I'll be honest though, the Angel of Darkness one is the one that's been terrifying me for so long. Like I'm just
Oh, really?
artist, and I'm so scared to reveal it because everybody loves AOG so much. But I have asked Serenity for some advice, and I think that she said it's in, you know, a cool concept.
Of anyone to approve anything Angel of Darkness,
It's Terranetta.
it would be Terranetta.
Absolutely agree.
It really would be.
Now I'm offended that you didn't ask me for permission to trim the full, but it's fun because absolutely adore.
I didn't think I needed to. I was like, Andy Park, he's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
I'm sure he can handle it, Hetty. I'm sure he can handle it without your input.
I came out of hiding to tell you that nobody needs your permission, Destiny. Okay?
Okay, listen. Every time he's got a chance to come back, it's to bully me. Hello, Neha, welcome back. But yeah, no, but seriously, like, it's literally my phone wallpaper and stuff. Like, I'm obsessed with Andy Park's reimagined art. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Park is just an amazing artist, period. Yeah, I love all of Andy's work.
Have you been seeing some of these, Brian? Like the Lara H. Rubin, a sort of like surrealist Tomb Raider underworld piece and so on. Like,
I love it. I love seeing all the interpretations. It is, like you said, it's such an iconic character. Seeing her and the world being interpreted by different people is perfect. I love it.
We actually tried to get Yoshitaka Amano for TR15, which was the celebration that I think man, that was tricky. It was right after I started at Crystal and trying to figure out how to celebrate 15 years of Tomb Raider, which is crazy that we're at 25 now. And we wanted to focus on like the reboot because we were just in the process of debuting like the new Lara, right? And we didn't want to flood social channels with a bunch of classic Lara and kind of confuse people, right? Because we had just identified or kind of new look, right? And so a couple years later, totally fine, right? But we didn't want to confuse people and really focus on the new thing. So what we ended up doing was just going back and getting artists who were, you know, like Andy Park and Randy Green and people who had worked on classic Tomb Raider and kind of saying, hey, and Toby Gard, like, what would your vision of this, you know, new rebooted Lara be? That was kind of how we danced the line. But yeah, and that's where, Brian, you did that fantastic piece, and it was super cool to see everybody's interpretations there too.
Sorry if somebody already asked you, Brian, but if you had the choice of doing like a reimagined piece for any of the Tomb Raider games, which one would you choose to do?
It would be the first one, just because it's so important to me, right? I just everyone says why don't you love Tomb Raider 2? But I do love Tomb Raider 2. It's just Tomb Raider. It's just when I fell in love with the franchise. So
Marco Bartoli.
You should listen. Steve doing playthroughs are hilarious because, especially TR2, because of Marco Broccoli.
Oh no, the macho broccoli.
You actually just said broccoli because of Steve.
Yeah. Just
but he says macho broccoli.
I think I'm near the end of my section now.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, you're already done?
I know.
Wow, Lara, you're so good.
I was panicking, so I didn't do any of the side teams because I wanted to make sure I got there in time for everyone.
Red barrel right next to yourself to celebrate.
Yeah, sure. Kill yourself. Shoot that explosive thing.
Do we lost here? Or, I just want to make sure. Is there any hints needed? Or,
Lara's like, I just want to feel something.
Even kill her. She's tough.
I know she's tough.
Alex, are you
I'm a
set to
survivor.
go? Or Alex, have you...
I'm ready.
Hi, Alex.
You're ready to go?
Hi,
Okay.
Cool. Hi, Alex.
Right, I'll play this cutscene then, and then I can raid.
Read
I'm sure you recognize some of the names of people in chat or streaming, Brian, from all of the tours you did promoting the games. Some familiar faces. I think I saw Kate Sykes in here.
nice.
Lots of other people.
Well, I missed the fans. I mean, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed being an active member on forums at the time. You know, it was great to just listen to what the fans' reactions were and get to know a number of them. So yeah,
You know what?
it's a wonderful community.
One of my fondest like sort of Tomb Raider meetup memories is actually when you guys came to the IDOS office in Wimbledon to showcase Tomb Raider 2013, and we just had like, it was just a really nice like sort of chill evening, wasn't it? Because we went to the restaurant, had our meal, when we came back had ice cream and like cookies and stuff. Yeah, they kicked us out, so we came back and Brian was just sat there doodling on one of the fans' art pads or something, and we were just like, this is just like the most surreal thing and like the best thing ever. It was just so chill and so amazing. It was really fun.
That is one of the weirdest
And you
things
broke,
that-
someone broke Lara's arm. Legend Lara's arm, because it fell off when we tried to take a picture with her.
Oh no! Oh no!
And Jay had to fix it.
Brian would ask me to doodle, and then for some reason they would also ask me to draw Lara, as if I have any creative, like I cannot draw for anything. So I would draw like a stick figure, and you could see like her body through her coat, and like this ridiculous ponytail with a smiley face, like. But yeah, I think I actually did that for you, Alex, didn't I? Don't you have a terrible drawing that I did next to one of like Brian's nice drawings?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very, very good memory. I love it.
Alright, so I'm just
I'm glad it was entertaining. You guys, when we play Gartech Phone later, we're gonna, I don't know if you guys have heard of that one, but it's the one where you basically all sketch things based on prompts. We're gonna make
my
it
God.
all our
So
prompts.
it's like Drawful, basically. In a
Yeah,
way.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So,
You said
yes,
later, Megan. That's in like 22 hours.
I know. I was gonna say.
I got
Eager.
really
It
exciting.
all starts just blurring together.
I've been upfront about the fact that there's no way I'm making it the entire 27 hours, but like I said, I've put in my years of the full, you know, behind the scenes. When you're doing behind the scenes stuff, it ends up being 30 to 35 hours. So yeah,
Sadly raises her hand.
passed down my the crown. Now Neha and Hunter will be the young ones to do this.
I'm not yet. I'm like 2 years younger than you.
There's the
I'm like
blush.
2 years
He's
older
thrown
than me.
under it.
Yo, Neha, I think Nobecraft just got demoted. Like, I think Megan deserved Nobecraft now. She just noped completely.
Right? Like, she's like, yeah, you're the young one. I'm like, Megan, you're like
Yeah,
2 years
sorry,
older than me.
Neha,
What
you're
do
no
you
longer
mean?
I just wanted to give a shout out because we got
I'm an
Reloaded
old
Ed.
soul.
We got Reloaded Ed in the chat.
Oh no way!
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Hi Ed, how are you?
How are you?
Oh, Ed, do you want to play Gartic Phone with us?
Yes,
I will
Ed,
get you in
please.
on that.
Yes, that'd be amazing. That'd be
And I will
amazing.
get you in on that segment. I'm just saying.
Honestly, Ed, it's like it would have been an absolute pleasure to have met you at Derby, but obviously, like circumstances didn't allow you to be there. But just want to say to like
The train companies
you
need better.
and everyone who's working on Reloaded, everyone's doing a fantastic job, and the amount of stuff that you've been able to do to provide fan service to us and the community is something that has definitely not gone unnoted. So thank you very, very much for what you do. Thank you so much.
Jay,
man.
we notice you in the corner there. Don't worry.
We do. We notice you in the corner.
You're my
Thank
little
you.
cheerleader. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you
Exactly.
to a few people like Gardener Daddy for his bits,
Jason!
Nina for his bits, Nina for her bits. Chris for the raid, thank you. Rat for donating to Extra Life, thank you very much. Cyan Jim for subscribing. So it's Latvian Lady for the follow. Camellia Mink for the follow. RT04118 for the follow. Jason is strange for the follow.
Jason is strange.
And Macca's, thank you for the bits as well. Thank you very much. And Serenita for the bits. So I'm gonna go ahead and raid Alex now. So thanks everyone for coming to the stream and chatting while I just tried not to screw up.
Awesome stream.
You did a great
Did a
job.
wonderful job.
You did amazing.
Thank
I
you.
don't say that much to you, you know that.
I know you're in awe of me right now, Hedy. So don't worry.
Yeah,
I just thought I wouldn't mention it.
Laurie, who paid you? Who paid you? Who paid you? Seriously. See, did you use TeamViewer?
What?
TeamViewer so that you could play instead of Laurie?
Seriously, he's too drunk. He's too drunk to play right now.
Fair enough.
Bitch, what are you on about?
Ryan, this is why we host other people's streams. It is not on our
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
I can I just take a moment to say to Brian, thank you very much for being a part of this. 'cause
Yes,
honestly,
thank
it's
you
been
so
an
much, Brian. Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure to be able to speak
Yes.
to you about this, and it's been really insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
It's my
very much.
pleasure. I just shout out to all the fans and all the developers that worked on this game. I can't thank everyone enough for continued love in this amazing franchise. So it was a pleasure to be
Well
here.
done.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Pleasure to speak to you, mate.
Right,
Pleasure
over
to
to
Yeah,
Alex
it was.
now. So see you later,
All right,
guys.
so we're rating.
Let's
Raid.
Alex,
Oh my gosh.
Staying here. Here we
Alex,
go.
Raid
Aw.
Shadow Legends.